Have you ever stopped to wonder if the way you view the world could actually be causing you more pain and suffering than you realize? What if the very beliefs you hold about life, the things you believe to be true, are the source of all your frustration and struggle? It might sound like a dramatic statement, but I promise it's worth considering. Today, we're going to explore something that has the power to transform your entire life. It's one of the most profound teachings that you've probably never truly taken the time to understand. Buddhism. Now, before you start thinking this is about sitting cross-legged in a monastery for hours on end, or some distant, mystical practice that has no relevance to your everyday life, let me stop you right there. This isn't about meditation or empty rituals. This is about understanding life in its most real and raw form. It's about grasping a truth so simple, yet so powerful, that it can bring you peace and freedom. What if I told you that the key to a more peaceful, fulfilling life doesn't lie in the things we usually think it does? The things we chase every day, your career, your relationships, your bank account, your success. What if the real key to happiness was in how you view the world around you, and more importantly, how you view yourself in relation to everything else? Buddhism offers us a fresh perspective, one that challenges the idea that external circumstances are what truly determine our happiness. It teaches us that it's not the world that causes our pain, but our attachment to it. We hold on to things, ideas, possessions, relationships, believing they define who we are and what we need. But what if these attachments are exactly what are keeping us trapped in cycles of suffering? Buddhism asks us to consider that true freedom and peace come not from changing the world, but from changing how we respond to it. What if we could let go of these attachments? What if we could release the need to control every aspect of our lives and just allow ourselves to experience life as it comes, without judgment, without fear? Imagine a life where you aren't constantly fighting against the flow of reality, but instead, you're flowing with it. A life where peace isn't something you're constantly striving for, but something you embody naturally. This isn't some abstract philosophy, it's a practical way of living, and it's available to anyone who is willing to open their mind to it. So join me on this journey as we explore how Buddhism can offer you a fresh lens through which to see the world, and ultimately live a life of true peace and happiness. It might just be the most transformative path you've ever walked. Before we dive deeper into the concept of suffering, let's take a moment to talk about a word that holds the key to everything in Buddhism. That word is Dhamma, but it's more than just a word. In the world of Buddhism, Dhamma represents the universal truth that underlies all of existence. It is the essence of reality itself, how things truly are, not how we wish them to be. You see, Buddha didn't create Dhamma. He discovered it. He uncovered a truth that had always been present, but had been hidden from most of us, buried under the distractions of our busy lives. The truth was always right there, staring us in the face, yet we were blind to it. Buddha's realization wasn't some mystical revelation. He simply saw the world as it truly is, without the layers of illusion we all carry. But here's the thing. Dhamma isn't just about abstract philosophy or high-minded concepts that are hard to grasp. It's something far more practical and personal. Dhamma is a path to freedom. Freedom from suffering, freedom from stress, freedom from the constant pressure that life puts on us. It's freedom from being controlled by things we don't even understand. When we talk about freedom, we often think of escaping a job, a situation, or a person. But in Buddhism, freedom isn't about running away. It's about breaking free from the mental chains that hold us back. It's about releasing our attachment to the things that cause us pain and realizing that we are not defined by them. Dhamma offers a way out of the cycles that keep us trapped in fear, anxiety, and desire. It's about seeing the world as it really is, impermanent, ever-changing, and beyond our control. And by seeing things as they truly are, we free ourselves from the suffering that comes with trying to control the uncontrollable. So today, let's start peeling back the layers that hide this truth. Together, we'll uncover how Dhamma can lead us to a life of true freedom and peace. It's not about abandoning the world around us, but about changing the way we engage with it. About understanding that we can live in the world without being consumed by it. The journey to freedom begins here. Here's where many people get stuck. The Buddha's first noble truth is simple, but it packs a punch. Life is suffering. Now that might sound harsh, right? Life is suffering. How can something so bleak be true? But let's take a moment to break it down together. We all know, deep down, that something isn't quite right in the world. There's pain, loss, dissatisfaction, and frustration, no matter where we look. It's in our jobs, our relationships, and even within our own bodies. We face sickness, aging, and eventually, death. No matter how much we try to control, life has a way of slipping through our fingers. And when things inevitably fall apart, that's when we feel the weight of suffering. But here's the twist. Acknowledging suffering doesn't make you weak. In fact, it's the opposite. It's a sign of strength. The Buddha didn't say that life is suffering to depress us or make us feel helpless. He said it because it's the first step to understanding how we can break free from the cycle of pain. By accepting that suffering is a part of life, we stop denying it. We stop running from it. And that's where true liberation begins. It's easy to spend our lives pushing away the discomfort, trying to cover up the pain with distractions, whether it's work, entertainment, or even denial. But no matter how much we try, the suffering always finds a way to surface. So, instead of fighting it, what if we faced it head on? What if we stopped being afraid of our pain and began to see it for what it truly is, a natural part of existence that we don't need to fear or resist? This is where Buddhism asks us to look deeper. The Buddha teaches that suffering doesn't have to define us. It's not a punishment. It's part of the human experience, something we all share. And once we understand that, we can begin to transform our relationship with it. We can move from merely enduring suffering to using it as a stepping stone towards a more peaceful, awakened life. But how do we go deeper? How do we break free from the pain that feels so consuming? Well, that's what we're going to explore next. Together, we'll uncover the path that leads beyond suffering and into a life filled with clarity, peace, and freedom. This is just the beginning. Let's take the next step. So, we've acknowledged that suffering is a part of life, but now we have to ask, why does it happen? The Buddha's second noble truth offers an answer that might surprise you. Craving causes suffering. That's right, the constant wanting, the endless hunger for more. Whether it's the desire for things, success, recognition, love, or anything else, it's the craving itself that creates the suffering. The more we crave, the more we suffer, especially when we don't get what we want or when we lose what we have. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you felt truly content, at peace with yourself and the world around you? I'm willing to bet that it was when you stopped chasing after something, when you let go of the craving and simply accepted things as they are. True contentment isn't about giving up everything you desire, but about realizing that the craving itself is what creates the unhappiness. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that happiness lies just beyond the next achievement, the next possession, the next relationship. We chase these things, believing they will bring us peace. But here's the truth. The more we chase, the more we feed our craving, and the more we suffer when the things we desire slip out of our grasp. We become attached to them, and that attachment turns into longing, fear, and ultimately, pain. But what if, just for a moment, we stopped chasing? What would happen if we stopped constantly reaching for the next thing and simply allowed ourselves to be present with what we already have? This isn't about abandoning ambition or giving up on your dreams. It's about understanding that chasing after things doesn't lead to lasting happiness. In fact, it often brings us the opposite, more suffering. When we stop chasing, we stop fueling the craving. And when we stop craving, we begin to find peace in the present moment. We realize that what we have right now is enough, and that happiness isn't something we need to chase. It's something we can experience in the here and now without the endless desire for more. So let's take a deep breath and see what happens when we stop chasing. Let's explore what life could be like when we learn to let go of craving and instead learn to embrace life just as it is. This is the heart of the Buddha's teachings, and it's a path that can lead us to a deeper, more fulfilling peace. The Buddha's third noble truth brings with it a profound message of hope and possibility. It tells us that freedom from suffering is not just a distant dream, it's something that can be realized. The key lies within us. We do not need to wait for the world to change. We can change ourselves. Imagine for a moment the deep burden of craving and desire that we carry every day. It's like a constant itch, always urging us to seek more, to want more, to reach for things that seem just out of our grasp. But here's the truth. This craving, this endless wanting, is the very source of our suffering. When we cling to it, we trap ourselves in an unending cycle of dissatisfaction. But Buddhism offers us a path forward, a way to break free from this cycle. By understanding the true nature of craving and by learning to let go of it, we can find peace. It's not an instant fix or a magical transformation, but a steady, patient process of self-awareness and mindfulness. You don't need to wait for an external savior to come and rescue you. The power to end your suffering lies within you. You are the key to your own freedom. This is what makes Buddhism so uniquely empowering. It's not about looking outside of yourself for answers. It's about turning inward and understanding the nature of your own mind. There are no gimmicks, no shortcuts. The way forward is clear. Recognize the nature of craving, release your attachment to it, and cultivate peace. It's a path of simplicity, but one that requires courage and honesty with yourself. The freedom you seek is not something to be given to you. It is something to be realized through your own efforts, understanding, and growth. Let this message sink in and remember that every step you take on this path brings you closer to a life of true peace and freedom. Now that we know freedom is possible, the next question is, how do we actually get there? The answer lies in the fourth noble truth, which teaches us that the path to liberation is found in the noble Eightfold path. But don't let the name overwhelm you. It's not as complicated as it sounds. This path is a guide for how to live wisely, ethically, and with a mind that is free from the chaos and confusion that so often control us. Imagine your life as a vast, complicated maze full of obstacles, choices, and challenges. The Eightfold path is like a map that shows you the way through. It helps you navigate each twist and turn, guiding you toward peace and freedom. And just like any map, it shows you the most direct route, a way of living that aligns you with the true nature of reality. But here's the thing, the Eightfold path is not about perfection. It's not about following strict rules or imposing some ideal of who you should be. It's about gradually training yourself to live with awareness, to live with intention. It's about moving away from the confusion and chaos that so often cloud your mind and finding a sense of inner clarity and peace. The path teaches you how to see things clearly, not through the lens of desire, attachment, or fear, but through wisdom and understanding. It guides you to speak and act with kindness, so that your interactions with others bring peace, not harm. It encourages you to focus your mind, to cultivate concentration and mindfulness, so that you're not swayed by distractions or emotions that pull you in every direction. At the core of the Noble Eightfold Path is this idea of living in harmony with reality, not against it. It's about aligning yourself with the way things truly are, instead of fighting against them. The more you practice this path, the more you'll realize that it's not about forcing change. It's about allowing yourself to be in tune with the natural flow of life. It's a gradual process, one step at a time. But each step brings you closer to the peace and freedom that we all seek. So take a deep breath and remember, this path is not a race. It's a journey, one that unfolds naturally as you practice. Each small act of wisdom, each moment of kindness, each moment of mindfulness brings you closer to a life of liberation. You don't have to do it all at once. Just start with one step and trust that the path will lead you exactly where you need to go. You see, the path to true peace and freedom is not just about what happens in the external world. Buddhism teaches us that everything begins within, in the depths of our own mind. Our mind, with all its restless thoughts, emotions, and desires, is where the real challenge lies. But here's the beautiful truth: they don't have to control you. With consistent practice, you can learn to observe these thoughts, to understand their nature, and eventually to let them go. This is the essence of Buddhist practice: mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of observing the mind without becoming entangled in it. It's about being present with whatever arises in your thoughts and emotions, without judgment or attachment. When you begin to practice mindfulness, you stop being ruled by your thoughts and feelings. Instead of being caught up in the chaos of your mind, you develop the ability to step back and simply observe. At first, this might seem difficult. The mind is busy, constantly racing from one thought to the next. But with patience and consistency, you'll start to notice something incredible. The more you observe, the less power these thoughts and emotions have over you. They begin to lose their grip. You realize that thoughts are just thoughts, fleeting and impermanent. They come and go, but they don't define you. Mindfulness teaches you to see things clearly. Instead of viewing everything through the lens of your ego, with all your desires and attachments, you start to see things as they truly are. You begin to recognize the truth of impermanence, that nothing lasts forever. This awareness allows you to stop chasing after what you think will bring happiness, and to embrace the present moment with all its simplicity and peace. When you practice mindfulness, you free yourself from the endless cycle of craving and suffering. You stop being driven by the need to grasp onto things, whether it's material possessions, approval, or fleeting pleasures. And in that freedom, you find a sense of peace that is not dependent on the external world, but is rooted deep within you. This practice isn't about achieving perfection or having a perfectly calm mind. It's about seeing reality as it is, with all its beauty, its flaws, its impermanence, and finding peace in that understanding. As you practice mindfulness, you will gradually begin to experience life in a way that is more grounded, more peaceful, and more in tune with your true nature. And in doing so, you will slowly but surely liberate yourself from the endless cycle of suffering and craving that once controlled your mind. So, what's next? Here's the best part. You don't have to go live in a remote cave or abandon everything you know to start practicing Buddhism. You don't need to leave the world behind to find peace. In fact, the path to true peace can begin right where you are, in the midst of your everyday life. It's not about running away from the world. It's about learning to face it with a calm and clear mind, no matter what challenges it brings. This is where the true power of Buddhist practice lies. It's not about escaping from life, but about transforming how you experience it. The world around you will always be full of noise, distractions, and struggles. But how you respond to it, that's where you have control. The path to peace isn't found in some distant place, but right here, in the present moment. All you need is the willingness to begin. Take a moment to stop, to simply breathe. Close your eyes and just be present with your thoughts, without judgment. Notice how often your mind jumps from one thought to another, constantly pulling you in different directions. Now, instead of getting caught up in the flow, just observe. Watch those thoughts come and go without trying to change or fix them. This simple practice of observing, of being mindful, is the beginning of seeing things as they truly are. And here's something remarkable you'll notice. You don't need everything to be perfect to find peace. In fact, peace doesn't come from perfection at all. It comes from accepting life as it is, with all its messiness, its imperfections, its fleeting moments. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you'll realize that peace is always available to you, even in the middle of chaos. It's always there, just beneath the surface, waiting for you to notice it. This is when the real magic begins. It's not about escaping the world or pretending everything is okay. It's about finding freedom right in the heart of your everyday life. You start to realize that no matter what's happening around you, you have the power to choose how you respond. And when you respond with mindfulness and awareness, you begin to experience life in a completely new way. A way that's more peaceful, more centered, and more in tune with the true nature of reality. So, try it out. Take a moment right now to just breathe, observe, and let go of any judgment. In that moment, you might just find that the peace you've been searching for was always within you, and it was never as far away as you thought.